not important. But when we're starting to come down, we got to watch our airspeed. And we still want to maintain the heading and all that good stuff. Very important you get her trimmed out, and I see you working on that. That's good. It'll make flying instruments easier.
39 Echo is going to turn downwind 23.
Should I have a specific speed in mind on this descent or no?
75 is good, 70 is good. I'm more interested in the rate.
The rate, okay.
And, you know, less rate is okay, but more rate is not. You just want to avoid coming down at a steep descent, because then you have to run more of the risk of losing control.
Okay, I got you.
Okay, we've lost our heading now by about 20 degrees. So let's get back to 210. You can see how focusing just on the one thing,
yep.
everything else, so that's why you keep that scan going. When we get to 1,500 feet, go back to level cruise.
3 mile 45, runway 12 Lee.
Based upon
Falston traffic, Cessna 48753, 3 northeast, inbound landing Falston. All right, carburetor heat off. Power back to cruise. You can see when you've got to make configuration changes, that adds a lot to your workload.
Yeah.
So in the real world, if you're flying along on a trip,
12 Lee.
you flew into clouds. First thing you do is fly the instruments.
Okay.
Don't try to do something real quick, right? Fly the instruments. Then think through, okay, what are my choices? Well, I could try to do a 180, get back to clear air. That'd be my first choice. Standard rate, gentle turn. And when you do that, it might take you 5 minutes to do that and get back out. So when you turn to 180 degrees, you got to wait until you fly out of the cloud. It might not happen right away. Another option would be go lower, as long as you're comfortable that you know what the terrain is and you can stay safely above it.
Gotcha, yep.
You know, you're going down about 500 feet a minute. Do you see that?
Yeah, okay.
Look at your angle of bank. It's way off. There you go.
Eagle Snatch traffic. Left guy downwind 14, Eagle Snatch 45.
You can get an appreciation of how quickly things can go away.
Lee traffic 44 Golf is turning.
How to get that attitude indicator back. See how the bar is a bar width below the horizon? How to keep it on that horizon there. All right, I got the airplane. Why don't you take the hood off, okay?
Harbor side traffic, 26 plane is 4 miles east landing from it, right?
All right, Falston Airport's over there. Let's go ahead and do a couple landings and then we'll call it a day.
Okay.
Good job. I hope you got at least an initial appreciation of what it's all about.
Yeah, for sure.
We've got to do a total of 3 hours minimum to meet the requirement. And we flew about 3 or 4 tenths today, so.
Okay, so we got a ways to go.
Well, but I find the initial one, if I try to take you out for an hour hood time, it's not going to be productive. Because after about 3 or 4 tenths, you're already burned. And I could see a difference from the beginning, just in 3 or 4 tenths, in your ability to maintain. It started to get You got tired.
Yeah.
Right? Over time, you'll build up a better a tolerance for that.
False traffic, Cessna 753 is left crosswind for runway 22, false.
Yeah, you're getting a little low out here. You want to be at 1260, right? We're at 1100 right now.
Eagles Nest traffic, Skydive in 5 minutes over Eagles Nest, use caution 10,000 feet below.
False traffic, Cessna 753 is left downwind for runway 22, false.
Farmers Pride, 6-4 uniforms, left downwind 10, Farmers Pride.
Cessna 85 Quebec on our left base for 24 Gettysburg.
False traffic, Cessna 753 is left base for runway 22, false.
And check, I'm heading towards Letterkenny.
False traffic, Cessna 753 is on final, runway 22, false.
Better come down.
Yeah, that was a bad one.
All
Sorry.
right. So what was happening? You flared a little high, and you were carrying 70 knots of speed instead of 60. So we had a lot more time to float. The second thing is there's just a little bit of crosswind coming. So at the end there, you had to put in a crab to hold the runway,
Uh-huh.
but you can't touch down that way. So the solution then is we got to push rudder and aileron. We haven't done a lot of crosswind work, so let's go do another one to be good practice today.
False traffic, Cessna 753 is back taxiing for runway 22, false.
Try to focus on final, getting your airspeed down to about 60.
Okay.
On final. It was interesting, when you first put the power in and we were on base, I agreed with that. You were a little bit low, that was good. But when we turned final, you needed to come back a little bit sooner than you did.
Okay.
So then we're a little high, you push the nose over to get to the runway, speed zooms up to 70. All right, let's clean her up a little bit. You've probably been out flying in a late evening or early morning when the air's been perfectly still, right? So we got a little bit more wind to work with today. It's not a lot, but it's just enough that you can't ignore it. So when you come into flare, if you need to put that crab in, the moment you put the crab in, push the right rudder, and it's not just pressure, you have to move it a little bit. And then dip the wing just a little bit. And then it'll in effect, what we're doing is we're slipping into the wind.
Okay.
But the wind cancels it out and we go straight. And while you're doing all that, you still got to be flaring. You can't stop flaring.
False traffic, Cessna 753 is departing runway 22, closed traffic, false.
Just a little bit. There it is, right there. Beautiful. See how nice that came up? Real nice. Perfectly smooth transition. Now we got a little bit of wind from the left, so we need just a small crab in here to stay tracking outbound from the runway.
Traffic, Skydive 1 jumpers away over Eagles Nest. Use caution, 10,000 feet and below. Eagles Nest traffic.
Probably a good day for skydiving. A nice clear ceiling.
Yeah. How high did they take them up before they drop them out?
He said 10,000. I think most of the guys locally here up at Harford County, they do 8,500. And down in Ocean City, I think they go as high as 18.
Wow.
Getting up there a bit. I've never done it.
Yeah, me either. No interest. False traffic, Cessna 753 is left downwind for runway 22, false.
Yeah, it's hard for me to jump out of a perfectly good airplane.
Yeah.
I think if it was on fire or the wing fell off, yeah, I could be motivated, but...
Only with a parachute, though.
Yeah, right.
False traffic, Cessna 753 is turning left base for runway 22, false.
Manifest 430. Affirmative is 27 Bravo going higher than 7,000.
False traffic, Cessna 753 is on final, runway 22, false.
All right, let's get her slowed down to about 60. Need to put a little nose up trim maybe just to get her trimmed up a little bit better.
Thank you.
All right, let her come down now. Let her come down. Coming down. Keep coming down. Don't get too slow. All right, now flare. And now all the way back on the power. And just wait for it now. There you go. Little right rudder. See that? Right there. See that little touch? Ah, perfect. It's just a little bit of that rudder. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm.
It came perfectly right on around. Nice job. Much better that time because you had your speed under control. Yeah. Just watch it when you're in the final flare there, though. You know, I like you planning to flare before the runway. That was real nice. Gave us lots of extra runway. Just got to make sure when you're bringing the power back and you're still 50 feet in the air, you got to keep the nose down to keep your speed up.
Right.
Because we don't have as much cushion. When you used to coming in at 70, doesn't matter. Right. Let's do another one. Okay. That was a good experience, though, with just that little bit of rudder. And you'll notice, unlike when you fly aloft and you're going along fast and you just put pressure on the rudder, you actually have to physically deflect it just a little bit. And the reason is when you're going slow, there's not as much airflow over the control surface.
Uh-huh.
So it takes more movement to get the same effect.
Gotcha. Okay.
But that was just perfect, just enough, brought the nose around. And if you do that and you start sliding off the runway, then you got to dip the wing.
Okay. Boston traffic, Cessna 753 is departing runway 22, closed traffic, Boston.
Nice job.
Franklin County traffic, Eagles skydiving in about 3 minutes, 1,000 feet over Chambersburg, Franklin County Airport.
So the moment you start getting surface wind, when you're down very close to the surface, you don't feel it as much. As soon as you climb up 10 or 15 feet, you start to feel it. That's what was going on there.
I guess that's right about the time you get out of ground effect there?
Yeah, pretty much. And it's partly the trees provide a little bit of blocking.
Mm-hmm.
So when you get above the treetops, you start to feel it more too.
Boston traffic, Cessna 753 is turning left crosswind for runway 22, Boston.
A little more right rudder in the climb. A little more right rudder in the climb. There you go. Just for the P factor.
And come traffic to the hotels and final 16, moment.
Oh, I'm way up high.
Yeah, you got a little thermal that popped you up there, I think.
Boston traffic, Cessna 753 is left downwind for runway 22, Boston.
The other thing is the wind aloft is pushing you into the runway too, so you need a little crab there.
Two minutes prior to jump over Chambersburg, Franklin County Airport.
Boston traffic, Cessna 753 is left base, runway 22, Boston. Boston traffic, Cessna 753 is final, runway 22, Boston.
Little right rudder. There you go. Little right rudder. There. Not bad. Alright. We'll call it a day. Good job. Just had a little bit more speed that time. You were doing about 65 over the numbers, so we floated just a tad more. That wasn't bad. And when you turned final, you saw that you were just a little too much power and you came back on it. That was good.
Thanks.
So did you find when you got out under the hood, you were a little disoriented?
Not too much.
Yeah.
I kind of, not as much as I was expecting anyway.
Yeah, sometimes what happens is that transition right away, two things are going on. One is you're you got to kind of rethink your brain a little bit from in here to out there. And two, you're a little more fatigued. And your brain's a little tired.
It definitely is more fatiguing, I'll give you that.
Yeah, and over time, the more you do it, the less fatiguing it will be. It's like weight training. When you start out, the weights are heavy, and as you exercise more and more, you can add more weight because you build strength. But you're doing the same thing with your brain process. You're building brain capacity. I put 5 inches in it, so I think we can probably put it away without filling it up.
Okay.
I figured it would save the time.
Okay, great.
But don't get discouraged, because as time goes on, you're going to find you'll need less brain capacity, because you'll get to that place I was explaining, like with music, where it's automatic.
Mm-hmm.
But we got to build that skill, and it takes a while to do that.
Yeah, sure.